Okay, so I explained to you guys the fundamental reasons why I think this is the bottom, why this has to be the bottom, and why strategically, globally, the people that have all the money are incentivized and must pump all the markets right now. And the short story is that all the world's money just recently changed hands about 10 days ago. And so the new owners of all the assets of the Lehman Brothers fiasco and all the property and all the political power that comes along with that and the associated assets have changed. And part of them are Russia, believe it or not. I'm not going to go into detail on that because that would take another hour. But in this episode, what I'm going to do is, since I've already explained to you the fundamental political reasons why this should be the bottom, I'm going to show you the technical reasons why and by what percentage we're at the bottom. So if I just said, hey, we're at the bottom in big round fuzzy terms, we could still fall 5-10% on stocks and 20-30% on crypto, and it doesn't mean much, right? You can't do a leverage long if I just kind of give you big round numbers and say we're close to the bottom, because even if you did a 2x long, if the bottom lasted 2 months, I mean, in open interest rate payments for your long, you'd get liquidated just on long interest rates. So let me show you why right now would be. I'm expecting next week or the week after that, just everyone to say, hey, there's no war, there's no COVID anymore, and everything's fine. And I'm going to show you why technically right now. Okay, so here it is. This is the chart of everything. This is the everything chart. Big picture, there's a lot of detail in here, and I'm going to go into it one at a time. Let's look at the really big picture. This was the worst dump of all. This was the worst point, the lowest dump for the last year or so, right? Then we went up to here. If you do a full retrace, I'm talking the worst case, take all the money out of this entire, what is this, 2-year bull run? Year and a half, I can't, 20, no, this is a year-long bull run, 22, yeah, just about a year-long bull run. If you take all the money out, what would happen is you'd go from this fib to kerchunk, 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 and kerchunk. This is the last fib line. This is the lowest fib line of this entire range, chunk, 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 chunk. And guess what? If you fell right down to this line, it would be the worst case scenario, and that's exactly what we did. We hit that black line. See that? That's the lowest, and that's the worst case scenario. And we hit the worst case scenario at point D. There's a D point right in there. C point here, this C point is the C point of a potential cipher. And it's a bullish harmonic pattern from the C point. It's a higher low than the D. Price is higher. So between this full retrace, which is absolutely precise, and between the fact that we have a higher low with the C point right here, that tells me that's the bottom. But that's just like really big round numbers, right? That's just, and we're kind of assuming that this is going to be a bow tie pattern. This pink thing, we're just assuming that that's going to be there. So do we have any more confirmational technicals? Why, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. Take a look at this. Here we have a falling wedge. Did you notice that we actually had a falling wedge? These things are bullish. Let me strengthen this so you can see it better. See that? We have a falling wedge, and this falling wedge, these things are normally bullish, except for the fact that this falling wedge never actually confirmed the top side. It only had 2 points here. Normally you need at least 3 touches on a line to make a confirmed falling wedge. This thing just went touch, touch, and just gave up. And then it dumped all the way underneath this neckline. This is the neckline here. Touch, touch, and breakthrough. Let me zoom in and show you closely. There it is. You see that? Right here we had a clean touch, right here we had a very clean touch, and right here we had a breakthrough. And then we had this ganglia of this battlefield. So we have a perfect neckline here. In order to measure a running wedge that is a falling wedge, except instead of breaking upwards, because falling wedges normally break upwards, right? They go up. Ow, my finger doesn't move in that direction. But this thing went downwards. What's the target for that? Well, if you take the entire distance from the top to the neckline, which is this thing again, to this neckline, this thing to here. I'm going to use my. I don't know if I can. There it is. Here's the neckline, and here's the top to the neckline. The target for a running wedge that's bearish is 1 fib down, and bam, 1 fib down. 1 fib down. Let's follow this straight through in a channel, downward channel, and we got bam. Again, we came to the same point, the D point. What confluence? What coincidence? Isn't that amazing? So this D point is not only the 786 point of this entire range, kerchunk, 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 poof, D, right in here. It is also the 1 fib extension of this entire range, delimited by this neckline, which is another fib, kerchunk, and it's exactly this D point. So you've got two worst case scenario targets. If this bearish falling wedge ends up becoming a continuing wedge, a running wedge, then the worst case scenario would be it would fall to D. If we take this entire run up and we take all the money out of it, then the worst case scenario would be D. And we hit D. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And then the C point here in pink is also a higher low. And this sets us up perfectly for a bullish, well, from C it's bullish. They call this a bearish bat, but I mean it's actually bullish from our perspective right now. What else is there I can tell you? Oh, also, the way we fell, we're falling from here to here in an exhaustive pattern. What that means is, see this ABCD pattern, this parallelogram here, this Z pattern? It's a parallelogram, and what that means is we're falling and we're exhausting our falling energy. Whenever you see this Z pattern, it means we're going in this direction and we're starting to get exhausted, and now we're really exhausted. There's no more to sell. You see that anywhere else? Why, yes. Here's a Z pattern, except it's upside down. We're going up. This is like a lightning bolt symbol, isn't it? It's like the SS, the swastika guys, the Nazis, they have the SS symbol, except it's a Z. So we went up, and then as we're going up, we're getting exhausted. That's what this means. And we had another one here. We're going up here, and then we retraced back down here. We had another Z. So we're getting really exhausted here. Up, exhausted, up, exhausted, up. So we're exhausting our upness. So that's why we sold right here. I don't know if you remember watching that YouTube on this day. I said, hey, this is where whales are likely to dump. So I told you exactly here, right here, you should sell everything. And right now I'm telling you, right here, you should buy everything. And so what this would create, it's not very technical because there's no technical definition for it. It's just like whimsical. But what this would really create is a official Adam and Eve bottom. Isn't that cool? Here's the Adam part. And technically the way Adam and Eve bottoms have to work is that the Adam part has to be lower than the Eve part, so that the lowest portion of the Eve part, the nipple of the Eve boob, is going to be 1 fib extension higher than the uncircumcised part of the Adam, D. And it's looking like that. But I mean, Adam and Eve, I don't use it much. I don't say Adam and Eve much because there's not as much technical metrics, or it's hard to really define an Adam and Eve. Hey, this is officially an Adam and Eve because it falls within these guidelines. There's not much of that. It's not a very precise geometric. It's kind of like saying, hey, he's Asian. I mean, you could be talking about a guy that's from Pakistan or a guy that's from Korea, and they look totally different, speak totally different languages and totally different cultures. One of them isn't going to go around raping a bunch of I should stop there. Okay. So bottom, you should at least do a 3x Ethereum long right now and get rich. And for really fast scalps, so you make even more money. Because what we're gonna do, we're just gonna buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. We're not just gonna. Oh shit. Anyway, we're not just gonna go in here and say, hey, we've got a 3x long. We're just gonna keep it there and give all our profits away in open interest. No, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna buy and sell 3, 4, 5, 10 times a day. So if you want all our trades, which you should want all our trades, patreon.com/crypto fund manager. Crypto fund manager. Patreon.com/crypto fund manager. And if you have over 5 Bitcoin, come on, get us to trade it for you 24 hours a day. Let us make you rich than you already are. Minimum is 5 Bitcoin. Bitcoin-funds-manager.com.